Welcome to Authors and Espresso. I'm your host, and today we have an author spotlight. I am honored to be here with new author Liz DelSignore, a friend of mine from Toastmasters, an IT professional by day, but with dreams of being the Taylor Swift of authors by night. And she is newly published. Her book, From Death to Birth, came out on September 28th. So you are 2 weeks into being a published author. Congratulations. Well, not even 2 weeks, like a
No,
week and a
not even.
half.
Yeah.
Right. Congratulations.
Thank
How
you.
was the launch party?
It went pretty great. A few like 7 or 8 people showed up, I wanna say, and it was so I'm someone who has, like, different friend groups, and I usually don't mesh them, but I meshed them anyway, and people
Right?
got along, so
And that's the beauty of a launch party because everybody wants to come out and support, so now they get to see, like, your other circles.
Right.
So I had this pre-ordered since I think like March or April because you pre-ordered pretty early, I think. And so I can't wait to read it, but we always have like a lineup, right, of to read. So
Right.
since I haven't been able to dive into it yet, can you tell us a little bit about your story from death to birth?
So, the main character, who's based off of my late father, he wakes up in the afterlife, and he doesn't really understand who he is until pretty much God tells him, and it's not like a super religious book. I mean, except for the first chapter, obviously, I'm talking about the afterlife and God, but it's like sprinkled here and there, like saying grace over dinner kind of thing. But he has to go through his life in a reverse chronology. And so the last chapter is actually when he's born in a hospital in a little town called Struthers, Ohio. And Struthers, in its present state, I think the 2022 census said it had about 10,000 people, so it's pretty
Wow.
tiny.
So was this somewhat of a working through grief, or what inspired you to write this type of novel using your father as a main figure?
I don't really think it was a grief thing. It's been 15 years already, so I've made my peace with the passing, but I think for me, getting a book to completion and publishing it was more of the deal. Yeah, it's dedicated to my dad in a lot of ways, but I think getting it to publication was the bigger issue for me because ever since I was like 6 years old, I've wanted to publish a book.
Wow.
So this is like 25 years of having that, and I went 17 of those years without writing anything because I started writing books I tried to start writing books in high school and late middle school, early high school, and never came to fruition. This is actually my third time I've tried, and finally it just came through. And I didn't write since high school, so it was like 17 years of not doing anything. And just one day last year, it's like late February, early March, that I got this idea, and it was like an intrusive thought. I couldn't stop thinking about it all day long.
Mm.
So finally, I'm in my bed, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm just on my phone. I'm like trying to brain dump this out. And that started becoming what was like my first chapter, basically. And as I started writing more, I was like, oh, this thing kind of has legs. Like, I'm starting to develop characters here. And so I was like, screw it, I'm just going to go through with it.
Oh, I love
Next thing I
that.
know, it's 5 pages, 10 pages, 20 pages. Next thing I know, it's 276.
Wow, that's amazing, and it all started with you writing just jotting notes on your phone,
Yeah.
because I tell people you can write anywhere. It doesn't have to be super professional. You can start in notes. You can start with, whatever you have.
Mm.
So I love that. I would love for you to talk a little bit about the cover because it's absolutely stunning and there's a lot going on with the moon and the flowers and the scales of justice. What was the inspiration for the cover?
So this is the cover for anybody who doesn't know.
I
And
love
so
that.
My dad was a Libra. So the launch day was actually my dad's birthday. He
Oh,
would have been
wow.
73 this year. So the
Wow.
scales, I told the artist, well, my dad's a Libra. Can you incorporate the scales? And I, you know, it was something that I didn't really imagine at first. Like, I didn't imagine this cover. I had something completely different in mind, but
Mhm.
I found this guy on Fiverr, and he's an artist out in like Germany. So, it would be like really late at night or really early in the morning. I'm like talking to him because of the time difference. It's 9 hours
Mhm.
different. And I told him, well, I want to incorporate the scales, and this is what the book is kind of about. And funny enough, Fiverr actually censored the name of my book. I guess the word death like wasn't liked by Fiverr, so I had to
Oh,
spell it
wow.
weird.
Okay.
But I told him like these are kind of loose ideas that I have, and he came back with a couple different concepts, and I really liked something about each of them. So I said, "Can you take this from one concept? Can you combine it with another?" And the hair on the guy on the cover was initially kind of straight, and I'm like, "Well, my dad's Italian. Can you make his hair curly?" Because my dad's hair was really curly.
Mhm.
So literally that second round he came back with this, and I was like, done, sold. So like, how do
Wow.
I pay you?
I
Like,
love
he just
that.
nailed it right out of the park on 2 tries, and it's beyond anything I would have ever come up with on my own.
Oh, yeah, I love it, it's stunning, and I love Fiverr. Fiverr really has, like, everything you need because I'm not trying to be a graphic designer myself, so I use
Right.
them for, like, every flyer and every announcement, so I love that. Now, throughout the book, it goes through, like, finding your purpose, self-discovery, meditation, love. Are those themes that come up in your life, or was that all part of your dream and vision when you started fleshing that out? Or how did you incorporate that?
Yeah, it's kind of about my life. So I know a lot of people say they're not into astrology or whatever, but I'm a Scorpio, born November 9. The Scorpio is known for death, rebirth, and transformation, right?
Mm,
Those are the themes of Scorpio. So that with that in mind, you can kind of see like the transformation of someone going throughout his life as he goes through various things, like he goes through, loss of family members, loss of pets, gets married, his brother has a bunch of, 3 kids, and he never has kids because, that's my own personality being put in there, saying that life can still be fulfilling without children
mm,
and all these other things. But I think that just nature of being transformative and always changing to improve yourself is a central part of my identity, and it comes across through the book.
I love that. And I hear a market in there because there's so many Facebook groups that are like decidedly single or single no kids. And
Yeah.
it's like someone sees us. We're not just a forgotten segment of society.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Though you're still young though, so you never know. You never know.
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, you do have your cat, Vinny, right?
Yep, he's over
So,
here looking
you
at
got
me
your
with judgment
cat,
right
so
now.
that's good. I don't have any animals, so maybe one day, but I'm kind of afraid of animals, so I have to get over that fear first. So I
Oh.
wanted to talk a little bit about you mentioned Fiverr. So what are some of because we like talk about self-publishing and writing here. So in your journey, what were some other resources that you used in addition to Fiverr?
Mm, I mean, so I did register copyrights. Like, I have open applications with the US Copyright Office, but
Mhm.
I think a lot of it was just like research, figuring out what I can do to like protect myself like legally as far as the
Mhm.
copyright goes. Um I used Bowker to register the ISBNs,
Mhm.
but I think pretty much most of it was just my own ability to research and figure out how to put pieces together, which I think I did pretty well. I will also say that with the audiobook, I utilize my so I have like a ton of people in my professional and social networks, and I will say I leveraged some of that to find the audio engineer.
Oh,
Shout out to
nice.
Dustin, like, this man put up with so many hours of me recording, and sometimes I'd have to redo things like 5 times because I couldn't stop laughing during the narration.
I love that. So you have the paperback, the hard copy, the Kindle, and the audiobook because I didn't see the
Yeah,
audiobook. Okay, and then you voiced it yourself.
I did.
Love that. And are there other characters or you're doing the entire book?
I did the entire thing by myself.
Awesome. I love that. So I keep asking people, are they doing audiobooks? I haven't tried that yet, but I can't wait to hear that. I think I'm gonna pick up the audiobook too. So how was that experience being in the studio? Are you used to recording or was that a new venture for you?
I wouldn't say I'm a veteran to recording. Like, I have a lot of friends who are musicians, so it's not like I'm unfamiliar with all of the process, but it was the first time I really went through it at that length. And poor Dustin, bless his patience. He's like, I'm never doing an audiobook again. Because it's just so long. It's 10 hours and 10 minutes produced.
Wow. And about how long
Like,
did it take you to record?
at least 3 times that. Like, so I would book, like, typically sound engineers, they'll say, like, okay, so you're gonna book, blocks of like 3 hours, right? And so I would go after work. I was in the beginning, I kind of tried to go on weekends, but mostly it was like, hey, I'm coming over after work and we're gonna record this and get it through as much as we can. And it it definitely was satisfying at the end to finish it
Oh,
because,
nice.
and I hugged him because I was like, thank you for putting up with everything.
But then
Because
also
we started this in
entertaining in
like
some
April.
regards too, because you're having fun, you are laughing and joking, so
Yeah.
it's kind of fun and you get to hang with the friends, so I could see that being a fun
Yeah.
process. Yeah,
Yeah, it
I
was
love that.
fun.
And then for the publishing part of your journey, how was that? Any, "This went great," any lessons learned that next time I would do something different?
I think, like, uploading to Amazon wasn't too bad.
Mhm,
So, the first time, I don't know what it was, but oh, so it was saying, I uploaded everything and it says, "Please correct the highlighted errors," but then it wasn't giving me anything. Like, there were no fields highlighted. I looked through all 3 pages
mhm.
of it and there was nothing highlighted. So I'm like screwing with this for like 30 minutes and I was like, why can't I figure this out? Like, I'm a problem solver by trade. Like, that's what I do in IT
Right.
is I solve problems. And finally I said, screw it, I'm Googling it. And then someone said, oh, it's the ISBN formatting or something. I'm like, what? But that wasn't even highlighted. Sure enough, I go to correct it and I go through the process and it finally takes it. I was like, why did I just spend 30 minutes trying to figure this out when I could have just Googled it and figured it out faster? But no, I'm a little stubborn. So that was one of the only things. Oh, and then I didn't realize in my haste that I uploaded, since the I hardcover and the paperback need different ISBNs, and I did list that they have different ISBNs. When Amazon rejected the hardcover because it's like, please correct the ISBN to match. I was like, damn it. But no, after that it was fine. So I think I had less problems than a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on the service that you use. I like Amazon KDP, and I love Barnes& and Noble Press, and they're pretty user friendly. Some of the other ones can be a little more difficult when you try to do, like, so many different distribution networks and everybody has their own thing, um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I love that. So is it just on Amazon or did you do other platforms?
I just did it on Amazon, so I put it on Kindle Unlimited as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
Um, and as for the paperback, I did check the box for expanded distribution, so it could, in theory, get picked up by bookstores, and I might honestly go bug my local bookstore, that's just down the road from me and be like, "Hey, yeah, so
Hey,
I just
you
wrote
have
a
a
book.
local author, yes,
I
and do a
live
book
about 5
signing.
minutes away by car."
Yeah. I think that would be great to do author signings, and there's quite a few book festivals that are here every year too, so, I think that would be wonderful. I'm gonna try to go to one in November, so, um,
Oh, the
I
one, it's like Author Fest or something?
something, I think it's like at Paris Hotel, and I don't know,
It's like November 3rd through 7th or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think I
I've
can
been
catch,
getting
like, the
I've been getting
last
their ads
day.
hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, anytime you put anything into Facebook, it starts like, "Oh, you must be interested in this. Here you go."
Right. Right, like
I've been getting a
vultures.
ton of those. So what inspiration do you have for the person who's maybe thinking about writing or wants to do it but hasn't gotten started?
I would say whenever you have like an idea, like even if you don't know if you're going to be able to flush it out, just put it somewhere. Put it in your phone, write it down somewhere that you can easily access no matter where you are. Like if you carry a little notebook or something, uh people have mixed feelings about Taylor Swift, but what I will say about her is that whenever she's like writing songs, she'll just like sing into her phone. That way she doesn't forget it as like a soundbite. And even her friends, like, Selena Gomez and all that, they're like, "You're writing a song, aren't you?" Because they'll just hear her singing. But that's how she does it. That's how she keeps track of everything. And that's kind of the same thing. Like, anytime you get inspiration, doesn't matter if you think it's good or bad, if you ever be able to flesh this out, you can always come back to it, you can always redo it, you can always scrap the whole thing and start new, just whatever you want, right? Just get it out of your head so that you don't lose it,
Yeah.
because a lot of the time it's fleeting, right? You get the idea, you get inspiration, and if you don't do something with that information, it's gone once it's gone.
Yeah, that happens to me quite a bit, so I'm getting better, and I'm trying to write a little something every day, but it gets hard to get back in the swing of things, but I'm forcing myself. So I know that you're brand new to the publishing world, but the question always comes, is there a sequel? Do you have an idea of what comes next, and what's our timeline?
Well, I may have already started writing a second book.
Is it a sequel or just a totally different concept?
Totally different concept and genre.
Oh, wow. Okay, I love that.
When I say I wanna be like Taylor Swift, I mean her ability to genre jump.
Okay. I didn't realize she
Because
did, but
no,
that's
she
interesting.
does, because if you look at her discography, the first 2 albums are more, like, country-oriented, and then when you get to 1989, it's a pop album, and then the Red Album is a little more rock-oriented, and then she adds piano a lot for, like, Tortured Poets Department and even The Life of a Showgirl, which she just released 5 days ago on 3rd. So she does genre jump and she reinvents herself every single album. And that's kind of that's why that's why I mention her, is because I play like my literary interests, like what I read are so varied. Like I will
Mm.
go from literally horror to romance in like a day.
Oh, wow.
And my bread and butter is thriller, so that's going to be next, but it's going
Okay.
to be kind of a combination of like thriller and horror.
Ooh, that's right up my alley. I'm a big Stephen King fan. He's my favorite, so anything horror and you pretty much have me. So I am excited about that one. And then do we have a time frame? Are you like every year will we see you publish something or
I wanna like, loosely, I wanna say by the end of next year, but we'll see how life pans out,
Right.
because I also am I am gonna go back into business for myself, the start of 26 with a friend of mine, so we'll see how those timelines collide.
Okay, that sounds awesome too. A new venture in writing and in business. So I like to give people a way to reach out to you. So how do we find you, like your fan club? And do you have a president of your fan club already? Does somebody need to be the president? How do we plug into all things Liz?
If I had a president for my fan club, it'd probably be my editor. She's kind of feral about my books. We met in a cat group, and I love her to death. She wrote my foreword because I asked her
Oh,
to,
wow.
and I said, "Bonus points if you can make me cry and show real human emotion."
Aw.
And and she succeeded to where she sent me the foreword, and I'm like reading it at work, and I'm crying, and I'm like, "Damn it!"
Aw, she nailed it.
Yeah,
Now
she
I
nailed
can't wait
it.
to read it.
She nailed that forward so much.
And how was that editing process? Because that's like the big thing that gives people anxiety. It's like trying to work out that and
Well,
get an
since we were
editor,
like
and sometimes it's pricey and all of that.
since we were friends first, I think that probably helped. It. it kind of started almost half-heartedly as a joke
Mhm.
because we talked books a lot, and we both have cats. Actually, the two out of the three cats that are mentioned throughout my book are her cats.
Oh, wow.
But it so I just was like, man, I really need to find an editor, and like I don't know if he'd be interested. I wasn't like gung ho about having her initially. And she's like, "I would do it." And I'm like, "Wait, like, are you bullshitting me? Like, are you being for real right now?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, wow.
And so she reads books really fast. Like,
Mm.
she can go through a book in like 2 days
Oh,
on
wow.
Kindle. And I even she was reading like on the Kindle app on her phone, but I even got her like a real Kindle for her birthday, and she lives in
Oh.
Cali. So I didn't tell her it was happening. I just was like, I asked her for her address because I was like, "Oh, I just want it for the book, when I start sending it out, so she wouldn't expect anything." And
Mhm.
then like 2 days later, she's messaging me like, "Liz, what did you do? Why did you give me a Kindle?"
Oh,
And I was like, "Happy
that is so precious. I love that.
birthday." So that's kinda how that happened, but she was like she mentioned she really wanted a Kindle, and she's happy with it, so I did that for
Oh.
her. But yeah, so what I did with her as far as the editing process went is, since she was editing as I'm writing to a degree, I was doing it in chunks. So I was doing it like at 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100% completion. And then we agreed on a rate, a price that for the whole book, and then I was paying her based on that, right? So I would be like, okay, so I'm like at this point, I have a few more chapters until I'm done. You can edit that chunk, right? And then at the end, for when she finished the whole thing, she read it like a normal person would, from the front to the end. That way, she could make sure everything was flowing and everything made logical sense as far as timelines go. And that's kind of how it went. And she's always been quick about it and really easy to work with. I mean, honestly, like we've both got friendship for life and my editor
Oh.
for life, probably.
Oh, that's awesome. So you wrote your book straight through?
No, so like I say I went a year and a half writing it, but truthfully, I wrote about 85% of it between November of last year to August of this year,
Mm.
because I had school to deal with, right? And so there were a few months in there where I just didn't write because I was so busy.
Mhm.
Like, academics swallowed up my life and kind of my will to live for a while during those crazy semesters.
Yeah.
So I went like 3 or 4 months without writing it, and unfortunately, I started my book before one of the busiest semesters ever.
Mm.
Like, so spring of 24, I started. So that was like late January of 24, and where that semester started, and then I started the book about a month later. So the first few weeks, they're pretty easy or whatever, but as I started going through the semester, it's like, "Oh my god, there's so much work." I didn't write at all the rest of that semester until, like, I tried a little bit throughout the summer, and, like, I tried a little bit here and there, but I wasn't able to get, like, huge chapters, like, cranked out,
Mhm.
and then I just was, okay, so I went out of town for a few days that last year in the summer. I didn't get a lot done over there, and then I started picking it back up, like, I wanna say late maybe September, October a little bit. Then right around my birthday in November is when I started really making more progress
Mm.
regularly.
And do you write in different sections of the book, or are you able to write, like, from page 1 to the final page?
So I started initially going in the correct order. So I did like 4 or 5 chapters initially from the front, and then came to the realization I should probably write this in the correct order. So for my book, it would be from the back forward,
Oh, okay.
because
Because he's aging backwards.
yeah, and
Mm.
so I was like, this is gonna make more sense if I read it from the back forwards, because that would be like going forward in a normal life.
Mhm.
Because I wanted everything to be cohesive as far as, different life changes, change of jobs or his brother being born or something like that, right? And so I went so after those first few, I went from the back forwards and then finally met up with it.
Mm.
And by the time I came to the point of meeting up with that for where I started at, some things I was like, "Did I really write this?" Like, so and it's kind of funny, so having ADHD also makes things a little complicated
Mm.
because I would tell Loki, my editor, she would be like, "Oh, I love this part," and I was like, "I wrote that so long ago, I don't even remember."
Yeah, there's a
Like,
lot of rereading when you're writing. You have to read your own work over and over and over, and, "What did I write, and where did I put that?"
yeah, and so a couple of my friends have also, like, bought it, and my friend Sean's been, like, reaching out to me as he's reading it too, and he's like, "Oh my god, this cat didn't get part of the breakfast burrito, so I know exactly what chapter he's on or just finished because I put that in a specific chapter."
Mm. Oh, I love that.
So
That's such a unique
it's
concept.
funny. It's funny to see, like, people reading it and then they're telling me where they are basically
Mhm.
by what they're telling me. I'm like, "Yeah, I know where you're at."
Oh, nice, and hopefully they're going to Amazon and writing a review because that means a lot.
I did put a little slip, like, in, like, the mailers that for the
Mhm.
pre-orders that, has a little QR code and says, "When you're done, please leave me a review on Amazon."
Oh, nice. Because sometimes people need the reminder or they don't realize how much it
Right.
does mean to get all of those reviews. I love
Yeah.
that. Alright, so anything that I didn't cover that you want to add?
Mm, I don't think there's anything. Oh, you did ask for, like, probably socials, like, how do people get a hold of me?
Yes, very
So,
important.
my author website is lizadelsignore.com. I don't know if there's a way you can, like, put that out in a text form because my last name is not the easiest to spell. Um, but, like, author Liz DelSignore on most things social except Twitter. It's just my first and last name because there's a character limit on the usernames.
Mm, okay.
So everything else I believe is author Liz DelSignore. I shamefully have not posted a lot, and I was like, oh, I'll post when I got the book out. Well, it's been out like almost 2 weeks,
Social
and I've
media is
just been
hard. I don't love it. But it's like a necessary evil, so I totally get it.
yeah. But I've also like been fighting a cold for about a week, so I finally am able to
Oh,
like not feel like trash today.
okay.
And I think
Well,
it's just
thank you
about
for
done.
being
I
here, I didn't realize.
no, no, no. I got it like last week, so it's already been a week.
Okay.
Um, but I told Loki earlier I can finally sing Taylor Swift without choking her now.
Right, you have to
So
be
my
ready
voice
for
is
her next
back.
tour. I think I do wanna see her in concert once just to
Just to have
see
the
the
experience.
presentation. Yeah,
Yeah,
have the experience. I think that would be interesting, but I don't wanna be sitting there like
for
the
3
oldest
hours.
person in the audience. It would just be
No, no, you're not gonna be the oldest person. There are way older people that go to Taylor Swift concerts.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was just like,
Like,
I just don't wanna
Swifties are
stand
all
out.
ages.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm one of these days. Well, add that to the list of things that I have to do, but if she's competing with Pink, of course, Pink is gonna win because that's my favorite. So, well, all right. Well, it has been a pleasure. Again, I am so excited for you. Can't wait to read it so I can call you and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm at this part. This is happening." But I really wanna hear the audiobook because I know that you made it really entertaining as well. So now I have to kinda go between the 2. But thank you so much for being on Authors and Espresso. It is such a
Thank you
pleasure
for
to
having
put a
me.
spotlight on you, and I can't wait for the works that are coming down the road.
Awesome.
Thank you.